We are back, episode 11 of the Anabolic Mafia with myself and IFBB Pro Chris Mazzaro, and we have a third guest on today, former IFBB Pro, a freak of freaks, another incredible coach, very knowledgeable, one of the most honest guys in the industry, Justin Compton. What's going on, dude?
Doing, man?
Glad to get you on here, man. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, so we're going to get right into some Q&A. As I was telling you before the episode, we just get some questions on because we have a lot of questions for you. So I'm going to start off.
So before we end today, just because I want to make you guys laugh, you have to remind me to tell you the story about when me and Andrew just went to the spa the other day. It was supposed to be relaxing, and I was like stressed the hell out the whole time. Just remind me later on. It'll be a good way to end it.
Okay, I'm going to try to remember.
Yeah, it's like a Nordic place. You go like it wasn't this kind of spa. It was like saunas and cold plunges and shit, and we do it out in the winter. But I'll tell you the rest of it later. We'll get into the Q&A though.
No, not really make that type of joke. Time and place for that. So, caffeine. He's asked you quite a bit of questions.
Who is it?
His name's Caffeined, I guess. Caffeined.
Okay.
It's from the Instagram. Yeah. He's asking quite a few questions here. Now this is a great question that I would love to hear from you as well. How has bodybuilding both improved and worsened in the past decade?
That's kind of a tough, difficult question. It's difficult, but not difficult. I feel like bodybuilding has not gotten worse, contrary to what people want to say. Shows themselves, like everything from, let's first talk about an NPC level. They're too diluted. Like, we don't have less competitors competing now. We just have 10 times more shows. Way too many, in my opinion. It's like, for example, here in Florida. Are you still in Florida by any chance?
Yes, South Florida.
Yeah, if you have a client who wants to compete in Florida, it's like, just get in shape and we can just pick a show any weekend you want, pretty much. But I think that's why you're seeing like 1, 2, 3 guys in a class. Sometimes the guy's up there by himself, and that sucks to know that you prepped for a show. You did everything you could do to get ready, and you're competing against yourself. I mean, ultimately we compete against ourselves anyway, but like we want to be on stage beside other people. And from an NPC standpoint, that part sucks. And I wish they would eliminate certain shows. Like, I feel like if you can't, as a promoter, maybe I'm just thinking out my ass on this, but I feel like as a promoter, if you can't produce a certain amount of numbers, you should lose your show. And that's nothing personal, but like getting rid of the small shows, that way, like when people go to a bodybuilding show, they get to see the real deal. Like when I got into bodybuilding, it was normal to see a light heavyweight. It was normal to see a middleweight class of 20, 25, 30 sometimes at a local level. Nowadays, 1, 2, 3, 5 at the most. Like very rarely is there more than 5. And like even with pro qualifiers, there is certain times when we see 20 or 30 guys, but like 10 to 15 years ago, it was 30 guys in pretty much every class battling for the pro card. And from a pro level, I don't think with open bodybuilding specifically, I think that category is fine. Excuse me. But from the other categories, and they've obviously done something to try to work around this with how they changed the Olympia qualification system. But having like 60 people, 70 people at the Olympia, it's not that those people don't have quality physiques, but like we're talking about the elite here. We need like the top 20 elite guys or girls in the world. So I think it has become diluted because of that. And I also feel like social media has kind of changed things as well. Like people don't train sometimes, I feel like, for the love of training. They're training to get views and likes. And I feel like some of the exercises we see, people are just making shit up just to sell an ebook or something like that. And then the new era of things like the peptides, I'm not against it and I'm not for it. I'm still kind of like on that fence. Like I've done a lot of research, a lot of homework on it, and I have a lot of guys who want to use certain things. And I always tell them, enter at your own risk, because like on paper, it looks phenomenal. And I've seen phenomenal results on people as well. But what we don't know is what the 5, 10, 15 year, side effects could possibly be from that. So that's kind of changing things. And then with the general society and stuff too, when it comes to bodybuilding, I feel like bodybuilding has actually went downhill when it comes to the general public. Like now that people are more openly talking about PEDs, like the general public just sees it as well. We always had that the fat couch potato says if I took juice I could look like that. That's always been a thing. But now it's like when you see a 160-pound guy, it's like, oh, he's on test and ready to true time. I'm like, you guys really think it takes drugs to look like that?
It's crazy.
So, in my opinion, the general public has a really poor, skewed view of what bodybuilding actually is. As far as the caliber of competitors goes, we still have high caliber competitors at the top, and we have a lot of other pros that are they're great bodybuilders, but they may or may not be Olympians one day. Doesn't take anything away from them. We just see more of it, so it appears as if we have shittier bodybuilders, but we actually don't. We just have more guys that's crossed that amateur into the pro ranks, but probably won't be Olympia caliber. So like, I don't really think bodybuilding has went downhill anyway. It's changed a lot, and especially the way we make money. That's big. That's huge. I mean, I'm actually still got some of my old Evogen apparel, which I'm wearing right now. But back in I'm gonna say 2018, maybe 2019, contracts were still normalized. Good luck in today's time. It's just not a thing. Like no one's getting. If you are getting a contract and you're getting $5,000 a month, you should probably keep it because you're probably not going to find that deal anywhere else. Mm-hmm. But like $5,000 a month, like if you would have offered me $5,000 a month when I was competing, I would have literally probably hung the phone up and not called you back.
Justin, just to ask you a question on that. So that is a question I want to ask you because we've spoken about the difference in how people make money today. Supplement companies, what, hypothetically speaking, without it getting too personal, let's say hypothetical, company came to you years ago, what in your mind was a good number that you would have agreed to, hypothetically talking, when you were actively competing?
I was smart enough to know that even though I never cracked the top 5 at the Olympia, I did use one thing to my advantage. I don't know if I say I was smart enough to know, but like I don't know if I did this consciously or subconsciously, but like I knew that I was in high demand and I was heavily talked about. So that brings value on its own. And the fact that I was on the cover of MD twice and I was the #1 most searched athlete on muscular development. This is like kind of right at the very beginning phase of social media before that took over. Like my social media is nothing fancy. Like matter of fact, it sucks, just to be honest, because I don't do a lot. But I knew I had that going on for me, and I knew I wasn't going to get paid like Phil Heath, Dexter Jackson, Kai Green kind of money. But I also knew I wasn't going to get paid like what a 10th place Olympian would normally get paid. I feel like I found a good middle ground. So for me, what I did was whenever my Gear Nutra contract, it didn't expire, they defaulted on their contract, a whole nother conversation. I became a free agent to do what I want. So I just reached out to companies, and that's how I was able to get a ballpark figure. I had low end guys offer me $5,000 a month, and I had high end as much as $12,000 a month. So I feel like I wanted to go more on the high end, but there's obviously a trade off to it. Like one of the companies that offered me like on the high end, they required 40 travel weekends per year, and travel weekend contract term was Thursday to Sunday, 40 of them per year. I'm like, guys, I'm not like you're paying me to be a top level bodybuilder, but you're gonna literally do everything to keep me from being a top level bodybuilder. So, there's a trade off where it's like I'll take a little bit less money to be able to fit the lifestyle that I need to be able to grow to what I want to be. So for me, I felt like during that era, 8 to 10 grand was like what I felt like was suitable. Now, had I moved into that top 5, I had negotiations like with other companies. It wasn't really negotiations. It was just them flat out throwing me numbers. I was probably looking at 15 to 20 a month had I have continued on and moved forward. Now that would have all dried up within like 2 years because social media just changed the game at that point.
Yes and no. I mean, I think with the level of traction that you had, and you also had like a character to you, right? From the South, trained hard, you're a complete freak. and you see these kids on Instagram that try to create some sort of character. I don't know if it would have died off for you, especially if you kept competing and you were
The one
successful.
thing that I would have
Go ahead.
had to have done is Hani actually tried to push me to do this, but at the moment I didn't really see the value in it. He wanted me to hire my own videographer. And I got thinking, I was like, dude, you're supposed to be like putting out my content. So I kind of shifted it back to him, which was maybe right, maybe not right. But if I wanted to continue on, I would have had to have hired a videographer. And ultimately, that would have created a good YouTube channel, a good Instagram page. And I would be paying this guy. I would probably say, hey, dude, because it's my face, my time, my image, we'll do 75-25. So whatever the YouTube revenue is, you get 25% of it. And I wouldn't give him anything on the coaching side of things because why would I, right, on that? But like
Right.
when it comes to like the revenue coming from YouTube, like some of these guys are making 20, 30, 40, $50,000 a month on YouTube. So, I mean,
Mhm.
for a guy to walk around and film a bodybuilder and get 10, 20 grand a month, I think that would be a good value to him, for someone getting started. So I feel like that would have been something I would have had to have played into had I have continued competing.
I don't have many regrets. I don't know if I should call this a regret. Maybe I'll call it a mistake. But being that I was actually thinking of this a few days ago, recently. I remember when I first turned pro, even in my teen years, social media was kind of a thing, but not really. It was just getting started. And then I turned pro so young, and everybody told me, you have to take advantage of this Instagram. You have to take advantage of Instagram. And I did not want to. I thought I was going to be like, and just show up and people are going to want to pay me because I'm young. And I think back, I'm like, man, you fucking idiot. Now you see like these kids like the Trend Twins and these kids that look like they're 150 pounds making pretty damn good money, not even competing, just for the fact that, they're young and they got themselves out there. But it's funny you said I was literally just thinking about this recently. So I think that's a mistake, right on my part, but everything happens for a reason, right? What are you gonna say, Chris?
No, I was just gonna say, like, but I mean, at the same time, so yeah, maybe that didn't happen, but look what did happen. You took all the right steps to become a great coach. Now you're very well known as a great coach. You ask anybody like Dom, oh, all his guys are shredded, right? So like you've built a name for yourself through your actual accolades. That's gonna last forever. I mean, how long you want to keep posting YouTube videos? Like, I remember I was listening to the Trend Twins talk, and they're like, they come up with crazy things to do. Imagine having to do that all the time, like make up
No,
this personality and be an asshole all the time. I'm not calling the
no.
guys assholes, but they're
Yeah.
trying to create this personality that's like maybe not real all the time. That's got to be a real pain in the ass.
Yeah,
Justin,
the
what do
only
you
guy I
think?
think that is fully authentic is probably Sam, and I think that's why people follow him so much. Is the guy just like, yeah,
Just
I'm
like
gonna
Shane.
go do back today, and we're gonna try to do 8. He just like talks like
100%.
we're talking right now, and somehow he just
Yep.
gained traction. And I don't know why he gets hate when he does. I mean, he's just a young kid that's just trying to work out and do his thing. I mean, I don't personally watch his videos because I don't think I'm gonna. It's no offense to Sam, but I've been around a lot longer than he has. I don't think he's gonna be
Hmm.
teaching me anything. But like he did it right, and just so happens he kind of hit the jackpot with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I have nothing against that at all. He's just doing his thing and having fun, that's how we all started too. He just happened to have a camera and a microphone, nothing fancy, which I actually like that. I think it's simple.
Yeah, he just worked out and showed everybody that he drinks milk.
I
That
I do
was
want to add something to something Justin was saying. So when they said like how did bodybuilding change? Because that can be taken either way. Like is as in like are the bodybuilders better or worse, or is bodybuilding better or worse? So something that I will bring up that I'll see if you feel the same way. So when we were younger, as in me and Dom, I brought this up on the podcast before. There was levels in bodybuilding. There was like a local show, there's a regional show, that there's bigger ones like level fives, which would be like Southern States or the Atlantic States too, and then
yep.
you could win the junior nationals, and then these were all big things. If you won that, you went to the next level, and then the next level, and then you eventually went to nationals. So you kind of knew who was coming up. Now you have people doing like 15 national qualifiers and all this stuff. It's like, why? You're just like, I don't know. It's almost like bullying these people who like are there's only a few people at the show. There's like three guys and just keep winning all these shows. So it's a little bit of what you were saying before, but I wish there was something to allow people to progress without having to do like a crappy national qualifier and then go straight to nationals and get their ass handed to them. Like stuff in the middle that was actually respected.
Yeah, like I remember when I first started competing, a lot of shows were actually not national qualifying shows.
Yeah.
Like that was a thing. And that's where, generally speaking, a rookie would start. Then you would do a national qualifier. If you win, or you would do your novice division, you win your novice division, then you do an open division, you win that, then you would go on to like junior nationals or junior USAs. And I think the reason people skip it, and I'm just going to be completely transparent on this, I actually don't send my guys to those shows unless they want to, because back, you remember Kevin Jordan, right? When Kevin beat me at junior nationals, he got a contract from that. That was exposure. That was publicity. Like people knew
Big
him as
deal.
like the next up and coming guy. This would have been 2011, I think. So
Mhm.
like that's why that show hold up. And not to mention there was 33 heavyweights, and all of us except one in that top five, I think maybe top seven, was a pro. We all went on to do that, and
Mhm.
that was kind of how you did things back then. So for me, it was like going to that show, knowing I'm getting my name out there, potentially getting in magazines, potentially getting sponsorships. Even though I didn't get sponsorships, I did get in a magazine from it. But like that to me was like hold more value to it. But nowadays, we're junior nationals. When they started giving pro cards to every division except men's bodybuilding, why would I tell my men's body? Why would I tell my male bodybuilders to go there? Like it
Mhm.
just doesn't make sense. Like you're going to give pro cards to bikini, classic, all the other divisions. I'm not telling my male bodybuilders to do that show just for that reason. I think all the other coaches is doing the same thing as well. Like why would I send someone there to spend the money on that? So things have kind of shifted in that sense. And again, social media kind of took away the exposure aspect of these. I don't want to call them mid-level shows because back in that era, the guys that was winning junior nationals would be winning nationals in today's time.
Yeah, is the big deal. Like you heard about that guy.
Yeah.
Like I
I
did
mean,
junior
Kevin
nationals.
Levrone was a junior national winner too, like back in the 90s.
Yeah,
Like the top
I know.
five from junior nationals, like that was like a fucking Olympia lineup in some cases.
We used it. So I did it a few years ago, but it was literally because I was in North Carolina. It was just the next show the next weekend,
Yeah.
and literally the tanning people, the judges were like, "You're doing junior nationals, right?" And I was like, and Don told me to do it, so I was like, "All right, let's go do it." So, but it wasn't because of the name though. It was going to be better competition, but it was just the next show. It's just
Yeah.
not like it used to be.
Yeah. That part has definitely just dwindled out almost
Yeah,
completely.
it's sad.
Wasn't there, not to go too long about this topic, wasn't there another one underneath? Was it Junior USAs? Am
Well,
I
yeah, there's
thinking
junior
correctly?
USAs and junior nationals, and they were kind of considered the same, like same caliber.
That's right. Is Junior USAs even a thing anymore for open bodybuilding?
Yeah, it is. There's not a
Is
lot of guys shows
Nobody
up for it,
cares.
but there is.
that's
It's just
okay?
like
So this goes to show you. I mean, because that's what I thought. Because those junior level shows would lead up to the big national level stages, but it shows you how much they have kind of died out, which is a shame. I used to really enjoy watching people climb through the ranks, earning those titles, or
Mhm.
you see the
Well,
up and coming.
even the regional level, like Chris mentioned, like there was a southern stage which was big down where we're at, but like up where you're originally from in New York. What was it? The Atlantic Coast or the East Coast class? It was one of Steve's shows. That was a
You
big
had
one.
the Atlantic States was a big one, and the Easterns right before nationals in
The
November.
Easterns, that was it. Yeah. And then like on the West Coast, they had like basically the Mr. California was the title that you wanted to have as well.
Right.
So like those
Yeah,
were
those.
considered like prestigious titles 20 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah, and it's funny though. Whoever usually won those shows, you knew they were going to nationals or USA's, and they
And they're
were
going to be a
probably
problem.
a big one. Yeah, that's why I did it in 2000 before I turned pro, because that was like the thing to do.
Yeah.
So Chris, you want to get the next question? Okay.
My dogs are going crazy right now, so I just
It's all right.
muted it for a second. Yeah, for sure. I got all these questions here. So, okay. All right. So last episode we didn't really talk about any of this stuff. So, I mean, I'm gonna go after it. All right. So I'm gonna go and ask. We're gonna get into the cycle stuff because I know people want to know. So it says favorite off-season cycle, GH dose and timing, protein intake daily for 300-pound bodybuilders to keep core tight. That's a lot of questions, but I guess we can simplify this into like what is kind of off-season approach for the big giant guys
with the GH.
Are they asking, or is asking like what I use or what like I have other people use? Because there's
it
a big
says
difference.
it says favorite, so I guess it's more about you.
Okay, so compounds test was always my base, and I would alternate if it was a long off season. So one cycle is going to incorporate EQ, the next cycle is going to incorporate DECA. I never did them together.
Mm-hmm.
I never did train in the off season. Take it back. I did do it one off season, but I didn't find it to be like more or less effective by doing it. So, in my opinion, I wanted to keep like my receptors clean. I wanted that drug to be a contest drug only, not because it made me crazy or anything like that. No, I wanted to be like super responsive to it whenever contest prep comes around. Like I'm cool with being in a 500-calorie deficit and growing muscle tissue in that. So orals, if it was right after a show and I still had my appetite and it was good, Anavar or D-ball. Didn't like Anadrol. Anadrol would just headaches, blood pressure, appetite, just lethargy. Couldn't deal with it. I tried it. I did do it, but that's how I know I don't like it. T-ball was actually a favorite of mine as well. Turinabol.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Proviron was very underrated, but that was more of a contest prep thing. But for off season, it was test and DECA or test and EQ. And then if appetite was allowing, I would throw in Anavar, D-ball, or T-ball. Basically, I avoided Anadrol and Superdrol. Those were and I didn't really feel the need to do a Winstrol in the off season. That just didn't make sense.
Yeah. Okay. What about
and the GH?
Yeah, GH and dose and timing. What do you say about that?
So the way I did things back then is a little bit different than how I do things now. I would actually split the GH up first thing in the morning and the other half pre-workout, and I still will do that on certain specific occasions with specific clients. But I have found to be very effective taking it all before bed. Like that seems to have been a very effective protocol for me. Like not for me, but like for my clients. For myself, I took it first thing in the morning, half the dosage. The other one would be pre-workout, not post-workout, like what people would say. And 8 to 10. And the reason I say 8 to 10 is to be very specific. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you do. Remember the genotropins that was 16 IU pens?
Yep.
So if I had a 16 IU pen, it was 8 today and 8 tomorrow, and then it's trash. If I had a Sterostim, which was 18 IU, it was 9 today, 9 tomorrow, trash the bottle. If I had generics, it was 10, just bottle a day.
Pretty
so that was the GH.
I like how simple you put that too. Like I'm not gonna lie, there wasn't like a whole lot of science. Like, oh, this is how I did it because it was easy. Like not easy, but like it just made sense. So
well, I staggered my way up to those dosages.
Yeah,
like that was like my peak. You know, I will say this is kind of funny. So in 2010, or no, maybe it was 2011. I don't remember. I don't remember what year it is. I'm getting stuff confused. But there used to be a supplier named Elitropin, E-L-I Tropin. I don't know if you guys remember that guy.
Oh, the Elitropins. Yeah.
Yeah, they were fake, though. Did you know that? Everyone swore by them, but I think he was sponsoring guys on the forum boards and giving them real shit.
I refused to use generics back then because I always had access to American pharmacy, but I remember that source.
Yeah, so everyone swore by it, and I remember I did a cycle, if you want to call this a cycle of it. I took 6. That was my first time ever using it, and I didn't have any side effects at all. And my friend that I was in college with at the time, he was like one of my very, very close friends at the time, and he actually is a pharmacist now. So like you can understand this guy knows his shit about what he's talking about. And he goes, dude, how can you pick a pencil up and write starting at 6 IU? Because he had already tried it before me. That was like my first go with it. I was like, dude, I feel fucking normal. I feel fine. And he goes, you're like an anomaly. You can handle 6 IU right out of the gate and not have like swollen hands, tingling fingers, bloat, or anything at all. I was like, yeah, dude, I'm doing great. Then I switched to yellow top from IP. And I didn't realize, like, I had no education on this at all. And this was real GH. And I was like, oh, well, I'll go from 6 to 10. That lasted about 10 days, and I thought I was going to die. Like, I remember doing, like, I grabbed a pull-up bar, and I had tingling all down my forearms into my elbows. And I was like, what in the hell is causing this? That's when I realized that's why guys start with like 3 IU and 4 IU. So I started it, I cut it in half. I did 5. I was like, the side effects are still too great. All right, so get down, buddy. Down, down. Hey, down, down. But the side effects was too great at 5. So I dropped it to 3 for like a month or so. And then I upped it to 4. And I think me and Factory kept it at 4 for a while there. And I was able to produce results off that. But obviously, you know, over the course of like 3 to 5 years, I got it on up to 10. But I also figured out rip tropins too. The rips were equivalent to yellow tops. They were both very legit.
And I remember those. Those, again, I did run 1 box of those because everybody back then was saying how good they were. They did work very well.
They were very good GH, yeah. And it was cheap, like $100.
Very cheap. So this is controversial today, how everybody argues about this. Me and Chris both agree that real pharmaceutical, not the Turkish shit, the American grade Genos and Nords and Ceristim, we've always liked those better than the generics. What did you prefer and see a difference in, especially in contest time? Were you more on the side of generics? Did you not see a difference? Did you prefer farm grade?
So I saw a difference when I would switch brands. And I'm going to agree with a couple of things you said and disagree with a couple of the other. So specifically the genotropins, very specifically, I want to throw them under the bus a little bit. Not because they're a shitty product, they just didn't work good for me. Like at that time, Dallas, me and him we talked a lot. He was using it, and without throwing anyone else's name under the bus, mostly just because they're all still alive, and I don't like to do that. Matt had most of his people. He wanted them on Genos. So I was like, you know what? I'll try it. So I tried the Source, and I immediately, the first week, I put on like 7 or 8 pounds. It didn't change the dosage, just changed the brands. My ankles would swell, my hands would swell, and it made me feel like shit. So for whatever reason, my body did not like genotropins. Sterostims was always my go-to during contest prep because I never held any water. Now, like the rip tropins, the black tops, yellow tops, I would hold water on. Not a lot, not like I did on the Genos. Not as bad as that. So I could run that in the off season successfully and have no problem. But when I would get into prep, I would want to switch over to steros just because I wanted to have a drier, polished look to see like, you know, if you're holding a lot of water, I didn't want to like be holding water and say, oh shit, I'm fat. And then I'm actually overdoing things. I don't want that distorted look. So I want to be as dry and authentic as I possibly could. So I used Ceros, and I could use the Ceros. I think there was actually one show I took a shot in the morning of. Like I never cut it.
So a big thing about that is I actually totally believe you. And I was reading into it because I know certain people will use like Ceros over Genos and why. So Genos, I guess there's different fillers and different preservatives because it's meant to be taken, you know, like daily out of the same pen, you know, and switch out the cartridges and stuff. With Ceros, I mean, since it's meant to be all mixed at the same time with sterile water and shot all at once, like that's how they prescribe it usually.
Yeah.
It has a lot less fillers and it has sucrose in it. So it's supposed to be smoother. It's supposed to cause less water retention in the body. So that's why it's prescribed for different reasons. Yeah. So I remember I was going down my own rabbit hole. If viewers are wondering what I do in my spare time, I'm just like up late at night looking up shit and reading about GH and random shit like that. Yeah. Yeah. Working. No, but so I thought that was really interesting because I've heard very, very similar stories from a lot of people. And also, not to mention, I'm not saying the ones you had were fake, but there's so many fake freaking Genos nowadays. And the cartridges look almost the same, but they're not quite the same, or the lettering is a little bit off. Like, you got to find like the right person or something to really compare them because especially the ones coming out of the Middle East, there's so many fake ones out there.
All those ones are fake.
Yeah, they have either generic or just like Samorelin and stuff in them.
Here's the funny story with the Genos that I got. So I get a phone call from one of my friends who owns a gym. He owns his own gym and he personal trains out of his own gym. He calls me. He goes, "Hey man, do you use GH?" And I said, "Yeah, I like GH. Why?" In my head, I'm thinking he's going to ask like, "Hey, can I get some?" Yeah, no, you can't. But he goes, "Well, what about genotropics? Do you like those?" I'm like, "They're okay for off season." I was like, "I don't know about prep." He's like, "Well, I've got this lady here at my gym, and she has two dwarf kids, and they have a prescription for GH." And I was like, "Okay, like, what does that mean to me?" And the kids refuse to take shots. And she tells him that she just got boxes upon boxes upon boxes of it stacked up in her fridge. And I was like, does she want to sell it? And he goes, "Yeah, she just wants to get a little bit of money. It was all insurance covered as well. She didn't pay shit for it. Like free, basically." And I can't remember. I shot a low ball off where I was like, "Give me $1 an IU. How much you got?" I ended up taking home like 2,500 IU of that for $1 an IU, straight from the pharmacy. Straight from, and she had no idea what she actually had. She could have gotten $10 an IU for that back then.
You
But I
got me
mean,
beat on that because that's how
I pretty much stole
you
that shit.
you got me beat. I thought my story of getting the Genos was so great because when I owned a supplement store, there was this. I guess you call him like a half-ass wise. You're just a regular guy, and he was a customer for a while, and got to know him pretty well. And then one day, and again, not to go too long about this GA, but it's almost identical our stories. He comes in with a brown paper bag. He's like, "Do you do anything with these?" And I open it up. It's 7 genotropin pens from the pharmacy right near where our store was, the American one. Not, I'm like, "Yeah, I could do something with this." I'm like, he was all right. So give me an offer. It was 36 IU, the real cartridges with the prescriptions ripped off. Same thing. His friend, supposedly, I don't know if that was even the true story. They wanted to make some extra money. The kids weren't taking it. I was like, "I'll give you $80 a pen." I could have gone a lot lower. He goes, "All right, I'll have seven of these for you every single month." That went on for 2 years. I'll never forget. And then when the house,
no wonder his legs were the size of my chest.
oh, that's Genos I loved. For whatever reason I never held water on them. It was an immediate change in how I looked. Even like my face looked different. It just, I don't know. It was just a different look. I remember 2 years later, he comes in again. He goes, "I have really bad news." I'm like, "Oh man, I was really not looking forward to this day." He goes, "I can't get them anymore." I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "But I could get these." Another brown bag. 45 IU Norditropin pens from the same pharmacy. He's like, "Get 5 or 6 of these a month." He goes, "Can you do anything with these?" I'm like, "Yeah." I go, $90 each. It was perfect. And that went on for another 2 years.
That's crazy.
It was, and I'll never. I had refrigerators when I was living in my parents' house, so I couldn't keep it in the regular fridge. And I'll never forget when a house burnt down. Just as soon as it's done burning down, we couldn't go in the house. My dad had to get stuff from the house, and all I wanted to do was go in the refrigerator and get my GH, and I did. And it was a cooler week, but yeah, good times.
Yeah, I think my buddy that introduced me set all this up. I think he realized because I mean he's a personal trainer, right? So he knows other people. I think he realized like he didn't realize how cheaply I bought those for, and I think he kind of stepped in and took the rest of them moving forward and made his own money off of it. So I got a one-time deal, but I took everything that she had in the fridge.
yeah, no, it was a sad day when that stopped. It was. Next question. Uh, how in depth do we
Well,
want to get here?
let me ask this, Dom, because this is exactly to do with the
Okay.
question, okay? With the last one. All right. Jaskelinen anti. I don't know how to say that, whatever it is, but how to get rid of HGH water bloat in legs after health phase. That's just the way you wrote it. So I'll just go with the first part of the question. So is there anything you do specifically to get rid of any water bloat from HGH?
Stop it. I mean, I hate to just give you a generic answer like that, but stop it.
No pun intended.
Like yeah, no pun intended. Just stop it. The water will go. I mean, some people, like I have one guy that I work with. I don't think he can take more than 3. He'll send me pictures of his ankles at the end of the day, and his socks looks like they're stuck like a half inch into his ankles. stops the GH, problem solved.
Yep.
So it's like, I think of it like, is the juice worth the squeeze here? Like me adding an extra 5 to 10, yeah, right. Like, and me adding 5 to 10 pounds of water to this guy, that's not going to be good for his short-term or long-term health to do that. So it's just like, I'd rather keep him at 2 to 3 IU, keep things at baseline, keep him healthy, and wherever he lands is where he lands. It's just like everyone tolerates drugs very differently. I can't say this guy's name because he's a very I'll tell you guys off the air. He's a very well-respected bodybuilder. And when he told me this number, and he was, I'm going to say is if he would have won the Olympia in one particular year, I don't think anyone would have argued about that either. But he told me he took 36 IU a day, and he had no problems at all. Taller guy.
I know who it is, yes.
Yeah, and that's what he told me. And I was like, shit, man, like I didn't know that those numbers were possible. I got this news in 2013 or 2014 when me and him were talking. And I was like, holy fuck, like people really do this. Like in my head, I was like, is that what I have to do to get the next level? And I didn't do that. And then I win a show the following year. And I'm like, okay, if you do have to do this to win the Olympia, you better fucking start saving now. But like I never got to a point where I felt like I needed to do that. I'm not saying I wouldn't have, but if I'm at 10, going from 10 to 36, that's a big jump.
I've heard of some pretty crazy dosages for like for people with like dwarfism and stuff. I don't know if it's just for short term or what, but I was like, but then like, you know, I mean, same idea. Like I've heard of some of these dosages from like Ozempic and tirzepatide that these doctors give people. They're like, oh yeah, go straight from 2 to 4, 4 to 6, and all the way to 15. I'm like, what the hell?
Well, you've heard of increlex, right?
Yep.
Okay, have you ever actually read the pamphlet that comes with it that tells you how to dose it?
No.
So I don't know any dwarfs, little people. I genuinely, I mean, I actually know two, but like I'm not going to send the guy. I'm not going to send any like a message like, hey, what do you weigh? But I figured it up like because it's in kilos, so it's like every how many kilos, this is how much you're supposed to take. And I can't remember at the time it was saying I'm supposed to use like 3 to 4 milligrams a day.
Yep.
For like my weight, like 4 milligrams a day. That's why this shit's so expensive for people. If you're actually taking that much of it, 50 micrograms produced results to me.
Oh yeah.
So Justin, you tried increlex? Because I used it once, but I only had 2 weeks worth from a friend that was visiting, and nor did I want to pay the price that it costed at the time. And I did 200 micrograms, and the fullness that I felt within a day was mind-blowing. I walked around feeling like I just trained 10 minutes all day. 10 minutes all. It was insane how round I got overnight. And then obviously when I stopped, a lot of that went away for the most part. But those 2 weeks, I've never seen something change my body that fast. What did you think about the increlex when you used it?
So I had to be on a wait list to get this. I think I waited like 6 months, like 3 to 6 months to get it. I had to pay the guy, it was $2,000 for a bottle of it. But if you think about it, it's 40 milligrams. And if you're using 50 to 100 a day, that lasts. So it's a big chunk of money to come up with up front, but it lasts a very long time. So I got it in early 2016. And obviously, you know, that was towards the back end of my career. And I don't want to sit here. I'm not trying to give the drug too much credit because we all know what muscle memory is. Like when you have a really bad prep and shit goes wrong, all of a sudden you rebound and you look like a whole new person again. You're over dieted, that type of stuff. So in 2016, I got ready for the Arnold. I had a leg injury. I had multiple things, you know, mentally that I was battling as well. I got C. diff in the beginning of the prep. I lost a significant amount of size from that. That sucked. And then I was also working with Matt at the time. And I remember telling him like this is all dietary protocols. This is not drug protocols. The dietary stuff was like, this is not going to work with me. But like, if you want me to try it, I am going to be coachable. I will do it. And I just felt like I just kept like shedding muscle instead of fat. Like it was not working. I'm getting weaker and smaller, and I'm not getting harder. That's where I think at like 4 weeks out, I had to kind of make a phone call to him and say, "Hey, look, man, like I'm not gonna finish this fucking prep like this. Like you're gonna have me looking like I just turned pro again, and I'm trying to, win the Arnold. Like this is not working." So more or less, we changed things back over to my style of dieting, and I think I weighed in at the Arnold at 248 is what I was. The previous year I was 252. So I was bigger, and that had a really fucking phenomenal off season. So like I was expecting to hit the stage at like 260. The beginning of that prep, I was 297 and I had abs. So at that weight, why would I be 245? So a lot of factors. And again, I'm not throwing all that blame to Matt. There was a lot of factors that went into that. So you realize I lost a lot of muscle during that prep. So fast forward from March, as soon as the Arnold was over, I implemented increlex. I also went into my standard rebound phase with everything between training, 2-a-day training, the gear that I typically use, the food, the way that I do things. And then I competed again at the end of July at 265, and I was harder. That's ballpark 20 pounds in just a very short period of time, because I remember I was getting bigger and fuller, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, it's water weight, you're fat, you're gonna, as soon as you pull the plug on this gear, you're gonna just deflate. No, it stuck. So like that's when I won the Golden State, which in my opinion, that was my favorite look that I ever had. But I remember running increlex all the way up until like 2 days out.
Oh, you ran it all the way through.
Didn't stop it. I never held water with it, but it held it in just a crazy amount of fullness. But what was weird is like a lot of people are going to try to associate this with insulin because it's insulin-like growth factor. I tried insulin during a prep one time, and I could not get lean with insulin in the plan. Like as soon as we dropped that insulin, my body transformed. I was like, no, never again. Not doing that. So I was very hesitant on even considering this as an option, but I did it, and I'm like, okay, I like what I see in the mirror. I'm not going to pay attention to the scale. Like I don't know how I'm 275 pounds at like 3 weeks out, but like screw the scale. The mirror's not lying to you. The pictures are not lying to you. And even when I got to that show, like I wasn't supposed to do that show. Like I had no intention. It was a 5-week contest prep. Literally, I got in shape in 5 weeks. And I just figured, if I get into the top 5, it's going to be enough to knock Brandon Curry and Fred Smalls out of the point system, enough to give me enough points to go to the Olympia. That was all I was really concerned about. So I figured, you're 265, you're fucking fat, you're smooth, you're out of shape. At least you'll get a top 5. You'll get something out of this. And turns out it was the best I ever looked.
It's wild.
Good old increlex. Very hard to find. I mean, it's always been hard to find.
It's always been incredibly hard, yeah. There's a lot of fakes too.
Yes, there was one point in New York. I was too young for it at the time. But somebody in New York had an extreme, this is a long time ago, an extreme amount of this stuff, and they were kicking them out for $500 each, and they were real. Because I remember hearing all the pros in the Eastern area getting their hands on this, and yeah, someone we know spoke about it very highly of it. But speaking of rebounds, we have a question from, I can't even pronounce the name, Pekka Pofa, I don't know.
I think I know who that is. I think that's actually one of my clients. Pekka.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, so he asks, so since we're talking about rebounds, post-show, continue push or health phase first? 6 to 8 weeks, question mark. If health is okay, what is better? So what is your, like, obviously it depends on the person, but do you go into a rebound or do you go into a health phase after the show?
So again, what he said there, assuming that health has to be number one, because if you don't have your health, you don't have bodybuilding. So
right,
as long as your health is good, but I also like to look at what led up to the show as well. So like if we did a 20-week prep or 25-week prep, because I've done that with people as well, like very long contest preps, I'm probably going to say, hey, we need to just shut things down now. But that's not normal for me to do a 24 or 25-week prep. If you're on a 16-week prep, I'm probably going to say, hey, go grab some labs real quick. Don't do it. Don't do it 3 days after the show because your electrolytes is off still. Do it a week and a half after the show. Labs look good. Let's keep going. Let's maximize on this. Let's 6 to 8 weeks, even 10 weeks. As long as the health markers look good, we don't really have to shut it down like right after the show. But like I said, there is cases where some people also they get the mental fatigue where it's like they've been doing 2 hours of cardio a day, they're eating pretty much no food, and they're like, "Fuck this, I just need a break." And then that's fine too. I try to get a feel for that from a psychological standpoint as to where people are at. Like if I can tell someone is just mentally ready to kill it and the health is there, I fully support it. But if I can tell like you've just had enough, maybe that's time to shut it down.
Now, I want to just add this in too. So I'm sure that you've experienced this too. So you've had a client who didn't do as well as they thought or something, or whatever. Maybe they weren't as big as they thought they were going to be, whatever it might be. And then they're like, yeah, I'm ready to kill it. And I'm like, are you really though? Like, is your mind really where it needs to be right now? So like, I try to poke a little bit, for even that first week, while I'm trying to get them hydrated again, healthy. And I'm like, okay, like, are they really like ready to, fucking go? Or are they just kind of crazy from the last few weeks? And then I usually see if it dies down or if they even get more excited over the week.
I've seen a little bit of both with that. Like I've had people. I guess this shithead wants to get in the frame. I don't know if you guys can see him or
not. Yeah, we did.
Bring him on the show. We have questions for him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's wants to be in my lap right now, but you're too big, fat boy. You're too big. You need to be on keto diet. Sit down, Tyson. Get down, buddy. Shit. Yeah, what were you talking about? Like with people that week after the show?
Yeah, we were talking about people not actually mentally ready.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that will tell you how mentally ready they are, and then that first check-in I get, you're up 25 pounds. I'm like, dude, you were not fucking ready.
Sure.
For this.
No.
Yeah, you're not ready for this. Now we need to do 2 more weeks of dieting just to get this shit off.
Yep.
So Justin, you feel that the post rebound, the muscle growth that can come from a post rebound, that's a real thing, right?
Absolutely. I don't think there's anyone that tries to deny that has never actually tried it. And if they have tried it, they didn't do it right. Because every guy that I have a chance to work with in the off season, they're like, hey man, thank you. It's been great, blah, 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 blah. But then if I get a chance to work with them for like 2 years, they're always like, holy fuck, I want to be in the rebound phase all the time. Most of the time, the guys that I train, they're looking more forward to that part of it than they are actually getting on the stage. The stage is like the next step before they can start growing again.
I feel like if you do it right, you can really draw out that rebound phase long. And I think because like with me and Dom this year, I did a guest posing about, I don't know, like 12 weeks after the show, something like that. So it's like I had to stay in decent shape, and I just kind of kept rebounding all the way down. My show is in the end of July, and I still feel like a somewhat reboundy kind of feel all the way now to December. I know that sounds wild, but I mean it, because I think having to kind of diet a little bit to hit that show, and then I like rebounded again like a boost. So
if you're staying super lean and all the markers are where they should be, yeah, you could still be growing right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy to think 6 months. I've never done a 6-month rebound with someone, but as long as your health markers are fine, your body's still, you're checking all the boxes.
Yep.
Take advantage of the opportunity.
I've never grown like this before in my entire life, and we're not doing anything crazy, and I still feel healthy. Yeah.
Well, after the show, it didn't do anything crazy at all.
Nope.
Kept you super lean. And what did we run bloods twice since then? Has it been twice or 3 times?
Me and you, like full, yeah. With my doctor more because of
with your doctor,
stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, bloods have been pretty much immaculate the whole time. And I remember it just exploded. Yeah, that's the thing too, is people they get fucking fat. And then that kind of, I've done that before after a show, I have a rebound and all of a sudden that's the end of that. I mean, I would want to try to stretch it out as long as I can,
Yeah.
Obviously, world that's not the greatest thing for everybody. Not everybody could do it, but I'm glad I knew where you stood on it, Justin. because we've spoken about this before.
Yeah.
And I remember watching you back then, post show, just fucking explode pretty much every time. You know.
You'll know, like, I always know who my best clients are, the ones who follow the plan the most when we get into the rebound phase. I know, like, I mean, if I'm seeing like I don't pay attention to the scale so much as I am looking at the look. But like I've gotten 2 or 3 guys, actually more than 2 or 3. I'm gonna say somewhere in the 8 to 10 range this year that I'm like, that guy has the mentality that I used to have. And not a lot of people do this year round. You know, a lot of people will compete, they get serious when it's contest time, but the off season they get sluggish, they get tired, or they just kind of fuck off and just they get things done just for the sake of going to the gym and eating some protein, but they're not actually truly bodybuilding all the time.
Yeah.
Like there's a big difference, and all both you guys know this, but there's a big. This is more so me speaking to the viewers. There's a big difference in bodybuilding the right way and going to the gym and just getting some protein down. Like that's not going to make you a pro bodybuilder. It's not going to make you a good bodybuilder. You'll be bigger than the average guy, sure. Add 500 milligrams of test, eat 300 grams of protein, and lift some heavy weights. You'll look better than the guy beside of you at the gym, but that's not what pro bodybuilding is.
Agreed.
I call those people prep bodybuilders, prep builders, because whenever they're in contest phase, oh yeah, going to war, gonna get my pro. Everybody gonna get my pro
Fighting
card.
demons.
And as soon as the show, maybe give a week, 2 weeks after the show, maybe 3 weeks, it's like that's it. And then they may pop up back later. I think I want to compete again, and it's kind of like a slow process to even getting them there. But it's funny you say that because it's you brought up how some people, like I remember even Chris, like 2 weeks before the show, I don't want to think too far ahead. He goes, but I can't wait to do the rebound. Like only a few people really genuinely look forward to that. And it says a lot of like everybody. I want to get on stage. I want to get on stage.
I was afraid to say it because you know when people get tired of they get tired of dieting, then they can't wait to grow. They're like 3 weeks into their diet, they're like, man, I can't wait to grow again. I'm like, all right, well, enjoy this for a minute, you know. But yeah,
I've had a few guys this season with me like that was kind of like prep bodybuilders, and I've convinced them. I'm like, hey, look, invest into yourself. I was like, do you want to win another regional show or do you want to get your pro card? Give me a year. Just give me a year and you're going to see. And I don't think any of them at all would tell you that they regret that because they're all either going to be at the top of their class or they've moved up a division or moved up a weight class because they've actually been held accountable for an entire year straight.
I think,
and they're not just winging it.
Something that my wife brought up is when we get a client who's really buying in, it makes a big difference. And when I say buying in, it's like with all the stuff, like people think being a pro bodybuilder just means taking a lot of drugs and more drugs. That's the secret. But it's like, it's buying with also like all the little things adding up of like getting your steps in, getting your blood work done and taking your vitamins, minerals. Like this is the vast majority of it that people don't want to buy in. They just want to eat a little protein and take drugs. And they think that's the ticket. And it's just not.
I did a seminar not too long ago at Jack to Tony's show. I think it was the Central USA. Sorry if I got the name. I know he runs that show as well, but like I may have the show wrong. But like I literally started out the seminar, and I told people that there's like 4 to 5 fundamentals of bodybuilding. Your first one's your training. Your second one's going to be your nutrition. Your third one's going to be your recovery, and then last is going to be your supplements and your super supplements. If any of those is off, you're not going to have the right finished product. If any of those variables are not right, then you're going to be subpar, which you could be. I'm not saying you won't make some progress, but like everything has to come together as a whole in order to like compete at a high level. All of those have to be checked.
Yeah.
Can't just have it prep. You can't just have it off season. You can't just take your training. You can't just take your drugs and do your training and not worry about your nutrition. Or you can't just I hate to say it, you can't just train and eat right and not take drugs either. Like you can't, everything has to fall into place. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is they think, oh, you just take some gear and, you know, go do some extra steps and I'm good. No, try it. It's not going to work for you, but you're welcome to try it and fail.
Mm-hmm. And you know what's funny is hearing this come from you, which you clearly are genetically blessed in every single way for bodybuilding. And these are the same people that, oh, they're lying. It's just all about the drugs. These are the same people. And it's all about the drugs. but I wish people took it more serious coming from people like you who've competed at the highest level in every way possible with the pretty much highest level of genetics you could have. That you and I know how locked in focused you are. And yet it still goes in one ear and out the other with people that, oh, if I take my gear and train somewhat hard and maybe I'll get all my meals in, and it still just doesn't click for them. It makes me upset because it's like like you said, you've given some of those clients, you just give me a year. And then you hope that they follow through with all of it, and then it'll click. Some people never even give themselves a chance to let things click by true, as Chris said, buy into the whole process.
Yeah. Yeah, I think too many people look at these, like the programs and everything and all the things that take, like they're just like kind of picking. I want some of this, a little bit of that, not all.
Yeah.
Like it's all optional. Like, dude, it's
Yep.
it's non-negotiable. This is what the plan is.
The full
If it's
lifestyle.
if it's written on there, follow it. If it doesn't mean like maybe I'll salt my food. No, it's like every little thing freaking matters. So yeah.
Yeah, what's kind of funny is so the biggest guy that I have worked with and still currently work with is Joe. And I remember someone asking me, this was in Texas, because I guess we talked a little bit after Tampa, that I didn't carb him up. I didn't do any carb up at all for the show. Nothing. We just cruised and coasted right on in, because what I was looking at was perfect as it is. Why am I going to take a chance? I'm probably going to have a 95% chance to fuck this up for a 5% chance to get better. I'm not going to do that. And I liked how it looked, and I was like, let's roll with this. We're not going to change a damn thing. And I remember people saying he really only ate like 225 to 250 grams of carbs. I'm like, yeah, you want to see it on my phone? And I remember pulling it up. I did this to a few people, and I stopped after one or two particular people. I realized, because I work on WhatsApp, that's where I do everything. So I'm like, here you go, man. Here's the conversation between me and him. This is what I sent him. Like, he'll be looking at, like, I'm looking at it in the morning, and I'm like, okay, Joe, go put your clothes on. Paul, go put your clothes on. I'll text you the plan, write it out. Like, I like to document everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember showing it, and I purposely scrolled up to just where it has the diet and fluid. Right below that had the gear. And they scrolled down a little bit and they saw it and they're like, really? This is all he's doing? I'm like, yeah, it's not what the fucking internet says, is it? You saw it right from my phone. I was like, you're not going to screenshot that. You're not going to send it to anybody else. Let people talk what they want to talk, but it ain't as crazy as it looks or crazy as it seems.
Yeah, you look good at Texas, man. Whatever you did you look great at Tampa, but from Tampa to Texas looked freaking awesome.
There was a few minor tweaks.
Oops, what did you, if you can go into it, what did you guys do between Tampa and Texas? Because his look in Tampa was amazing in person, but in Tampa was amazing. But what I saw in pictures obviously doesn't translate fully to what's actually in person. That just means he must have looked wild.
Because you saw him backstage at Tampa, Dom.
Yeah, well, it was funny when he first walked up to us to say hi. He had his clothes on. It was when you were getting tanned. I'm looking. I'm like, this guy looks like he has shoulder pads built into perfect shoulder. He's a big fucking dude. Yeah, without shoulder pads, he looked crazy.
So basically, after Tampa, we just went right back on track that night. Obviously, no food out, nothing off plan at all, because we had a bigger show the following weekend to do. And I really wanted to prove a point. Like, I wanted to beat Quint and Jordan both. And I knew we could do it. Unfortunately, we got one of them, but we didn't get them both. And I think it was the scorecard said Jordan won with a perfect score. But being there in person, like, I'm not saying Jordan shouldn't have won, but I think that was a very, very close decision on that. So he was about 2.5 pounds lighter on that. I did a little bit different with the sodium and fat right before the show. That was one of the things I did, but also one of the things that we needed to work on, two things we needed to work on. One was posing, and the other one was his actual skin presentation, because he's a white guy, very white. I actually did this. I pressed it. I think I probably got on his nerves, if I'm being honest with you. But I was like, Joe, we need to put protein on every day. So literally, I actually painted him myself. I'm the one who did it. I made his girlfriend, or now wife. I was like, you can paint certain areas. That's on you. But like, I basically painted his ass and painted everything else. I'm like,
Lucky
we're
guy.
gonna fucking get this right. So like, we're putting the Protan on because I didn't quite think he had that. Like for example, Jordan won the show. Look at Jordan's color on stage. It's immaculate. He has the perfect tan. So I was like, we got to try and replicate that. We got to get close to that. So we put on like 4 coats of tan, and I even told him on, I think it was Thursday. I was like, go get a spray tan. Just go to fucking Suntan City or wherever the hell what's close by. Get a spray tan. Darken up more. That way, like we're gonna wash all that shit off after it's kind of dyed into your skin. They're gonna put one light coat on you, and I think that makes a big difference. Like I've heard that Jose Raymond was the one that I heard it from, and apparently he learned it from Jay. But that was a common protocol back in the day. It's basically your tan loading, if you want to call it that. But you're putting layer like when they spray you at a show, they're going to get you as dark as you need to be, right? They may put a very excessive layer on in order to get that done. So I think having that base tan that's stained into your skin and be able to wash it off and then just get like a top coat, it gives you a more polished look. And then also the last thing that we did, I think that made a big difference in his physique. He had never tried this before, but for example, when he does a front double bicep, lift up on your chest. Don't and literally just pull in just a tiny bit on your abs, and it would suck his waist in, and it's making him taller up top. So creating that illusion with his waist, because he got criticized for his waist because they said he was boxy. He's not really boxy when he hits the poses correctly. So we only had a week to figure that out. Now he's got a whole off season. I'm probably not even going to have to correct any posing at all this upcoming year. Like probably zero. He does all that, like he practices all the time. But I also did pound him on the posing as well. We posed probably 3 times a day, every day, if I had to guess. So I wanted to make sure that every box was checked because I really wanted that Texas win. He did get the most muscular award, and I truly thought he was going to win. And Sid, the MC, right?
Yeah.
When he made the announcement, like he's very he knows how to create drama with his voice. And I actually thought they announced it, like, and I jumped up and I was like, fuck yes. So we got it. I'm like, wait a minute. Did I just hear Hutchinson too? I'm not mad that Jordan won. Don't get me wrong. I like Jordan. I was like, but shit. I was like, I just rooted for the wrong guy. I was like, shit, Joe just got second and I just rooted for that. Like it wasn't on purpose. But at the same time, I'm happy for Jordan at the same time as well.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the tan because that's how you remember Mike Jorovic, right? Michael Nicholas.
Yeah. He lives in Ponte Vedra Valley, Condemned
Yes.
Lab.
Yes. So he pretty much did all my tans except for nationals. Carla did my tan at nationals, but he got that same process from whoever with the staining of the skin. Wednesday, we would do a coat. Thursday, rinse off the excess, do another coat or 2 coats, rinse off the excess. Friday, another coat, and probably don't rinse it off. But we would apply it. And I think the problem too is people, they just slap it on the day before the show or the day of the show, and it never has a chance to stain the skin. That's why I tell, like, some of my guys, they freak out when they first get initially tanned and they send me pictures right after they're tan, and they look smooth. They look hard. Yeah, I had to catch myself when Chris got tanned because he looked horrible. I'm like, wait a second. He just got tanned. It's sitting on this. It sits on top of the skin until it actually soaks in. And we used to let it stain so much that my tan lasted forever after a show. There wasn't no washing it off the week after the show. It lasted there for weeks. It was so deep into the skin. But it's. I wish I can tell all my clients to do that. The problem is, you can't trust everybody to apply it themselves or have somebody to apply it for them, because if that's done wrong, then it could fuck up the entire week. But laying it on does make a big, big difference. And Joe's tan was way different than Tampa, and that was just through pictures. So,
Flex used to do that too. He said he would put Pro Tan on first and Jan Tan on at the show.
The only issue with that with some people, and I know this because we have it. Yep, we had a tanning service at the supplement store that we owned. When you mix certain products and certain people's
Yeah.
skin with the pH, they could turn green, or
Yeah. They make
that's
that
the
green away stuff now, at least. So, but I
Well, I'm
think,
pretty sure that Texas. I'm pretty sure it was Protan in Texas, and that's what
yeah,
we had. So I knew
right.
we were not mixing and matching on anything.
I think also when you're layering it on early like that too. So when you put it on last minute, if you're not dark enough, especially if you're like super light skin, it's like you're just throwing mud on the skin at a certain point, and it looks like shit on
yeah,
It
stage. Like
looks
you
like
see,
it's an
like,
extra layer of skin.
yeah, it's not
right,
good. So I think
yeah,
that's back in the day. The products were just from talking to different guys. Like back in the '90s, like in early 2000, I think they looked better, but I think the Protan was a lot lighter. So
It
you'd have to
was.
do the layers, so you'd look more shredded on stage. So now if you just throw on mud or paint the day before and the day of, like you're not going to look, it's going to look soft.
Yeah, we've
yeah.
seen a lot of guys like for example, I don't think Dennis Wolf. If you ever saw you remember his pictures when he'd be like 3 days out, it
Hmm.
was
Funny
grainy and
about
hard,
this,
but he's like the
nasty.
whitest guy ever.
Yep.
And then he gets that tan on, and it's not that he looked bad, but it was like, where did all that look, the feathering and stuff, like the striations, where
Yeah.
did that go to?
Yeah. I agree.
It,
I
it's
think
true.
that's why I've said this before. Like nowadays, like if you're not totally shredded, like those lights and that tan ain't going to do you any service. It's not going to help you. You better be
No, if anything,
fucking
it makes you
shredded.
worse.
Yeah, it's gonna make you worse. So you better be damn shredded, like because people are like, oh man, I can't wait to put that tan on and look so good. I'm like, dude, that's not the ticket. Like you got to be shredded before that. You should be extra shredded.
So let's hit another question because
Yep.
we're a little over an hour now. A training question because I used to love your approach to training. From Jay Perch, what were his highest training volumes and how did he split up twice a day training? Funny he asked this. I have a client who just made his open bodybuilding debut from India in Japan, and he actually seen a video of Jay Cutler Tona training twice a day. I trained twice a day in between Easterns and Nationals. Matt Jansen was doing my training programming, not my diet. And I remember you guys did something similar. What is your approach when it comes to training twice a day, and how would you structure that?
So I don't remember the exact split that I did, like not right off the top of my head, because it's been over 10 years now. But I would hit everything twice a week, and I would basically go very high volume, and whatever muscle I was hitting that day, I was able to completely annihilate it because if you're training twice a day, like I would be able to just specifically go with hamstrings, or I could specifically go with quads, or I'm very strictly just working like side and rear delts or whatever I was doing. I would emphasize that, and I would always try to think about angles. Like for example, let me think of a movement here. Like with back, like when you're doing a bent over barbell row, you're kind of gravity's pulling you down versus if you're doing a high row, like I'm thinking angles and stuff. How am I making sure that I hit my body from every single angle position possible without doing, I'm not talking about doing 10 sets on each exercise, but I would do a lot of different exercises. Like I'm talking like say hamstrings, I'm doing 30, 35 working sets at times just for hamstrings by themselves. And that's a AM hamstring workout. We're going to come back in later tonight. We're going to focus on chest. And then tomorrow, maybe quads in the morning, and then follow that up with triceps and abs in the evening. Like I don't remember the exact splits that I did, but the volume would really vary. Like it would be 30, usually 30 to 40 sets per workout. So you're looking at 60 to 80 sets a day.
But what
Now
about
that being said,
fatigue?
like people do what?
I said, what about fatigue? Aren't you dying to do that?
Fatigue. Like, yeah, I was tired, but like, as long as there is a point though, I will say this: as much as I want to say fuck fatigue, there is a point where enough is enough, and
Yeah.
this is where it greatly varies from one person to the next. And keep in mind, my job was to eat, sleep, and bodybuild.
Hmm.
That's all I had
Yeah,
to do. So my recovery was better than most people. That being said, like I have a guy, or I guess I'd say I had a guy because I no longer work with him. And I don't know what he's doing in his life right now. I was really fucking looking forward to getting him on stage this year because I think he was knocking on the door to his pro card. We got 2 weeks out, some shit happened, and we had a phone call, and I figured out what was actually happening in his life. He had a lot of outside disturbances, just to put that lightly, that kept him off the stage. Not health, but other outside of bodybuilding stuff. However, leading into that, at his age and with what he was doing and his job structure, and I was like, he can handle high volume. So I put high volume on it. And the dude tells me his his CK levels. I don't remember the exact number, but I was like, holy shit, like that's fucking rhabdo. Like he was literally getting rhabdo from the amount of volume that I was telling him to do. I'm like, okay, cut it in half. Our numbers were still coming back like 2,000, like still too high. So he was one of those guys that in order to maintain, like to be healthy in this process, because you can't walk around with an 8,000 CK level. Like that's not fucking okay. Like I think he was around the 4,000 at one point. And I was like, yep, I need you to take a few weeks off training. But you're gonna rest. That's all you're gonna do is rest. No cardio either. Nothing. So, and that's how we brought his levels down. That's how a doctor's gonna tell you to bring it down too. Just quit, rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was actually a perfect candidate for like a hit Dorian Yates style, one working set. And that's what we were doing towards the end. He was kind of an exception to the rule because I do feel like at his age, he should have been able to handle more, but his body just said no. So I don't want to sit here and say fuck fatigue in general because if you're not tired by the time you're done training, then did you really train hard? That's kind of my thoughts with it. Of course, you're going to be tired. But some people associate fatigue and tired with, they think that just because they're tired, like they've overdone it. And I'm like, no. Like you should be tired when you leave the gym. It's whenever you have a lot of other symptoms later, and then you go get your labs and you see, okay, shit, yeah, I actually am. I've only encountered that twice throughout my coaching career, twice.
So was that in the last 4 years that you've seen that?
Yes, both times.
So it's funny you say that because before 2020, that was never even a thing. Like even with all the training, I remember doing.
He is vaccinated, if that's where you're going.
Yeah.
Okay, but no. So yes and no. So I've seen it in unvaccinated people, and I don't want to throw his name out there yet. Chris has a very close friend who had gotten COVID unvaccinated, right, Chris?
Yes, unvax. Yeah.
And hasn't bodybuilded in a long time. Got horrible rhabdo. It happened. I've heard it happened to two of my guys, unvaccinated, and it's happened to quite a few people in the industry who haven't really spoken publicly about it. And then I would see like it happened to influencers, and then even nope, we're not going to bark now. Before 2020, it was never a thing. I remember specifically doing blood work a day after an Oscar Arden leg workout, and that was God knows how many sets. You know. I mean,
you did every leg press in the gym, every hack squat in the gym,
everything, barbell squats, hack squats, every single thing, and until you couldn't do anymore, on to the next exercise. My CK levels were 500. I've never before 2020 seen. We never heard of rhabdo in our industry. We never really heard elevated CK levels, and this is a whole nother topic we can go down, but. Speculation, at least my speculation, and Chris's friend, and Chris, and a few other people, is that something with this virus has, in fact, changed people's bodies to where they can be able to tolerate workouts. Like, for instance, 2 months ago, lifestyle client, he didn't do anything more than TRT, wasn't on any fat burners, doesn't drink, doesn't do any drugs. Healthy guy. His friend at the gym put him through a leg workout. And mind you, this guy was a prior wrestler. He trained pretty intense on his own. For the next 2 days, he's like, I can't move my legs. And at first, I'm like, well, you just train hard. I guess, what. And I wasn't joking with him. I'm like, now you know what it feels like to train like a man. But that's all he said. I can't really move my legs. 3 or 4 days after, he's like, I'm still really sore and I can't move my legs. I'm really pumped. I'm like, do you feel anything else? He goes, yeah, my body kind of hurts. I'm like, are you holding a lot of water? He goes, yeah, you could say that. He he wasn't really giving much. I think he was like afraid to like complain. He went to the hospital. His CK levels were 60,000 after
60,000.
60,000. Mind you, again,
That's the highest I've ever heard of. I've heard of 17,000 before.
I've never heard of that. That's crazy.
So, I know somebody in our industry, a national level competitor. I believe he was around 50,000, and he couldn't get them down for around 7 to 8 months. Don't quote me on the number. Good guy too, but this client of mine, mind you, like I said, doesn't drink, didn't, no drugs, slept, ate well, trained pretty hard. But this guy at his gym put him through a workout. It was a hard workout, and it happened. But yeah, it's been really.
That's insane. One workout did that.
One workout,
I've seen similar stuff too in the Army, where like, new guys come to the unit and they get a lot of corrective PT, and it's nothing crazy though, not as bad as like a regular like leg day for myself. And all of a sudden they're pissing Coca-Cola the next day or later that day. I'm like, and they're like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like I feel sick, and they get like literally like the flu, and they get rhabdo, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And it's like you see one, it's like, okay, yeah, that guy's got something genetic. Then you see like 3 or 4, you're like, all right, that's pretty weird, And it's been coming up more and more, And I've been coaching a lot more than a few years. It's been a long time now, and I'm seeing more and more of these people with rhabdo. So, I mean, something's got to be in the water. And I told Dom, I talked to Jason for many hours about this, and one day I'm going to drag his butt and get him on the show to talk about it. But yeah, he's got a lot to say about it for sure.
When it comes to rhabdo or just
rhabdo and anything else, COVID, you name it, he's got something to say about it.
The two guys that I knew, the two guys I know, both of them did have COVID at one point, pretty bad. So maybe there is some type of correlation to what that does on a cellular level and damages something that we can't see just on normal labs. But when somebody goes and trains hard, but speaking of rhabdo, have you noticed, this would be directed towards you, Dom. Have you noticed like in the combat like sports, because technically it's muscle tissue breakdown. Like I've heard, keyword heard, this is not like I've ever like dealt with it with people, but like say take a car wreck, a really bad car wreck. If someone gets banged up really bad, they can get rhabdo from that. Like, have you known any guys that you spar with that's just taken too much of a beating and that actually caused rhabdo? I can't imagine those leg kicks feel good.
Do you know what's funny? Is no, not one.
Really?
And these are guys that are training. A lot of them train twice a day hard after fights, which is very strange because you're getting the shit kicked out of you on top of your heart rate being jacked up. I know I did my CK levels last year. It was last August. It was 2,500. I felt fine though. My urine was fine. I didn't have any protein in my urine. My doctor was like, all right, just rest for a week. And it came down within 1 week. I was just doing a lot at the time. But surprisingly, there hasn't been one, which is strange because of something that does break down so much muscle. And then there's a lot of impact, combined with all of this.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like you guys are strength training, you're doing cardio training, then you're actually taking impact, you're taking a beating, like you're working your muscles at the same time because, like maneuvering another human body is not exactly easy as it looks on TV.
Right. After some of those, you can't move the rest of the day after some of those training sessions. Surprisingly, no, which is strange because then you have a guy who eats a ton, takes super supplements to recover, and then does a leg workout and could die.
Very odd, yeah.
It's extremely strange, but I haven't heard of one person in the combat sports world who has had it yet. It's strange.
Very weird.
The first time I ever heard the term rhabdomyolysis was I'm very confident it was Dana Lynn Bailey said she'd done a CrossFit workout. This was like right after her retirement, and it put her in the hospital because she wasn't used to that type of stuff.
Yeah, because that's hell on the body if you're not used to it. I remember hearing a lot of people from CrossFit having all sorts of issues. Yeah, it's strange again how the last few years it has become more of a no one's really speaking about it, but it's become very common. Like he even spoke to Men Factory on this, and he was like, "Yeah, I've seen the same thing." And he has his theories with its connection to COVID and how it changes people's bodies. I mean, shit. Like I said, everybody talks about the vaccine, and I agree. But even just getting that virus at some point in your life definitely changes something on some level, either it be short term or long term, So,
No, I agree with you on that part. I never really linked it to rhabdo, but like you said, I'd never really heard of it in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Like you would think bodybuilders would be one of the first people that would get it, but no, I never really heard of it.
You always heard it with like CrossFit,
well, marathon
Like
runners and cyclists.
Yeah. People that's training, 6 to 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Of course, if you listen to Arnold, he did like 6 to 8 hours of training a day, right?
Yeah.
They're built different.
Yeah. Justin, you have time for one more question?
Oh yeah, I'm good.
Cool. Chris, you wanna get the next one from your list?
Yeah, you want like a sciencey one or just a fun one?
Let's do a fun one.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
All right. So Justin Wyatt, or Justin Abbott in real life.
Okay.
Says pick one athlete coach to be your favorite ever and why.
Athlete and coach? Like you mean like a team? Is that what he meant?
No, pick one athlete coached. Like maybe one of I guess your favorite athlete you've ever coached.
Favorite athlete I've ever coached. I'm going to go on a limb, and I'm not saying this because these are two of the people that well, I could go on, I could actually name 3 or 4, but like if I have to narrow it down to one, it'd have to be Brian Bolzano. And the reason why is because his body was like the way that he had one up on me. He was 3 times the hyper responder that I ever thought about being. There's that. But when it comes to training and food, I didn't have to think. My wheels never spin one time ever. Like mine and his body was damn near identical. The way that we responded to food and training and cardio. He was a little bit better than me, to be fair, like with his response to everything. Like I just remember like we were talking in the room one day and he's like, "Hey, I need to be honest with you about something." I'm like, "Oh shit, here it is. He's going to tell me something bad." He's like, "You wanted me to do, it was like 750 test." And he was like, "I didn't feel comfortable with that." He goes, "I thought that was too much. I only did 500. And I'm like, and this is from an Olympia caliber athlete. Like he was doing pro shows. This was not in the amateur range. But like I knew when I told him, like when we first started together, like when my plans back in like 2013, I didn't really include water and sodium on it because I was a rookie coach back then. And I just took for granted that everyone's drinking a significant amount of water and everyone's salting their meals. So I find out that Brian is using no salt, none at all. Nothing across the board. Like when you go to Walmart, you can get the cheaper brand chicken. It said in fine print, it says like 15% sodium solution. That's why it's like 380 milligrams per 4 ounces. Or you can get the Purdue brand that's like 40 milligrams per 4 ounces. So he's getting the 40 milligrams. He's trying to keep the sodium as low as possible. And the water, like he was kind of minimizing the water, but because I didn't instruct it and he didn't know, but like he was, I've probably coached several hundred guys that is coachable. Very, very coachable. I don't know how many pro cards I've got under my belt. All those guys are obviously coachable. I'm probably somewhere around 100 if I had to take a stab at that. And so it's nothing against them, but the reason that I said Brian would probably be my favorite is he was so transparent on everything. If this dude literally were to have 3 grams shy of rice, he's going to tell me about it. If he does one less set in the gym, he's going to tell me about it. And it never annoyed me, nothing like that. I was just like, okay, cool, Brian. Like, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. But like, what made it, the reason I say he was my favorite is because I knew if I asked him to do something, it was going to get done. It was going to get done properly. It was going to get done the right way. And I had plenty of people that'll do that too. But what made Brian more interesting was our bodies were so much alike that it was almost like I was prepping myself and I was living like vicariously through him in a weird way.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Why did he stop competing, if you could share that?
You know,
'Cause he was really good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on a limb here. Like if you guys actually invite Brian on, he'll talk to you about this as well. Brian genuinely does not like the actual competitive process, or at least he didn't anyway. And when I say the competitive process, the fact that so he's a high metabolism guy. I have to literally it's just like shoveling food down this guy's throat. So the fact that he's a smaller guy, he ate as many calories as I did. Like I'm talking like his off season was like 7,000 calories, and he's a 212 guy. Like a significant amount of calories, and he ate a shitload of calories all in the prep. But like Brian's also a money guy. He works at a bank. That's his job. So what he was seeing, this is just some of the conversation that we've had, was right after he did the Olympia, I did my fucking best, man. And this was like 2022, I think. And again, sponsorship drying up. I thought for sure, I was like, okay, he's only done 5 shows ever, and he finishes 8th in the world at 5 shows in. I was like, so I mean, that's from amateur, from start to finish, 5 shows. I'm like, I know a few CEOs' phone numbers. And I was like, I'm calling people, and I'm like, because he wanted to see a return of investment for this because it was costing him a lot of money to do this. Think about the supplements that goes into this, or we don't call it the gear that goes into this. I mean, it's not like Brian was spending a lot of money on that because he wasn't really using that much. But also, Brian's a guy who does enjoy quality time with his family, his friends, like his girlfriend. And I feel like and he's much like me, like when he's dialed in with bodybuilding, that's the sole, it's the blinders are on. That's the sole purpose. And he knows he has to push this stuff to the side. So I think that all played a big role into this because I was dying to get him back on stage in 2023, 2024, and so forth. But like I can't make him do something he doesn't want to do. And from a health standpoint, I don't know if I've ever really I've gotten perfect blood work, but I mean his fits right there, textbook perfect. Not one single health problem, nothing, no injuries, nothing. Just heart's just not there. And that's for me as the coach and his friend, I hated to see that and I hated to hear that because I wanted to see him make it to the top. Now, would he have ever been able to beat a prime Keon? No. I'm just being point blank.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. But would he have been a top 3 Mr. Olympia? Yes. I absolutely think he would have been. I think he'd still be in the top 3 right now. I don't remember who was third. It was the Brazilian guy, or was it the Brazilian guy? I think Brian would have beaten him just because he's a much bigger structure guy. Like he takes up a lot more space. So I think Brian would have probably been third. I don't know if he would have ever beaten. He probably could have beaten the off version of Sean Clarita, the one that Matt basically threw in the trash. I don't know if he could beat a prime Sean Clarita. John's pretty fucking good. Like Sean's pretty ridiculous. But Brian would have been a top 3 guy, and that's what I wanted for him. But like again, he just had different plans with his life, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because again, that's just me being selfish. But I want him to be happy. Whatever makes the guy happy, because what makes me happy it doesn't pay his bills. It doesn't make him happy. So he went his way with that. And I wholeheartedly like you've seen the before and afters of Brian, right?
Yep.
6 months, we'd win another pro show. We could start right now and win another pro show in 6 months. Not even a question in my mind.
That's
like we could go to any 212 show in 2026 and we'd win it. If we could get started today, we would win it. So for whatever reason, if he ever changes his mind, and I think Brian would be 30, he's either 34 or 35. Maybe 30, I'm 37, so I don't think he's 36, 34, 35. I'm a couple years older than him. But what would be wacky is if they bring back the Masters, or sorry, they already got the Masters Olympia. But in 5 years from now, if Brian shows up at the Masters Olympia, they can all kick rocks because they're all going to lose. I think that'd be a great way to end his career. You only did 6 shows ever, and you became a Mr. Olympia.
It'd be wild.
Yeah. I mean, I hope to get that phone call from him. I would love to get that phone call from him. But, again, he's got to want that. All of his cards has to line up. And if it does, it does. If it don't, it is what it is.
It's funny, as you were saying he could win a 212 show next year, in my head I was like, Brian, this is your invitation or your challenge to come back. And but like you said, you can't force him to do anything, right? He's got to really want it. He's been away from the stage for what, 3 years? 2022.
3 now, yeah. I think 2022, yeah. I remember when we won so we did the Indy Pro, and I flew up there for it when he won it. And I remember as soon as he took his clothes off to his posing trunks, I'm just like I just stopped. I was like, fuck, man. I was like, this pound for pound, you had more muscle than I ever thought about having, to be fair. And you're crazy dense, crazy hard. We go through the posing, we're sitting down, and you guys remember Jeff Saigo?
Yes. Yep.
So Jeff was in the room with us, and I remember telling Brian, he was reading my mind. Again, we were so much alike. He goes, I start talking. I was like, so, after the show, Brian, he knew I was going to talk about the Olympia. And he stops me mid-sentence. He's like, whatever happens tomorrow, he goes, I'm done, man. I'm done competing. I was like, you're going to win the show, right? And he goes, well, I don't know if I'm going to win or not. I was like, Brian, you're going to win the show. And I think you're going to highly, highly fucking regret not doing the Olympia, considering it would be your 5th show ever. I really think you should reconsider this. I said, but you know what? Screw all that. Fuck that. Let's just win this show and we'll talk about it later. And obviously we won the show, and, he had his personal friends, people that he grew up with, his whole, not like blood family, but his family with him. And I think they all encouraged him as well and told him, hey, this is, many people would beg to be in your position. You need to do this. You should do this. We want you to do this. So, he ended up doing the Olympia, and I think getting 8th probably did crush him a little bit. He never said it did, but I think deep down it did, because he walked through the amateur ranks. His first pro show, I think he got 4th. I personally had him 2nd. He got 4th in his first pro show. I think he should have gotten 2nd. And then the 2nd pro show he wins. So, when you have that type of track record, to fall into 2nd call-outs, it stings, Yeah. It's like, I remember when Cody Montgomery, because Cody was competing around your time. I remember when Cody made his pro debut at the Arnold. And I thought to myself, I remember seeing the comments and stuff on Instagram, people saying, oh, Cody can win the Arnold. And I'm like, I love Cody. I don't have, there's not any ounce of negative energy in me towards Cody, but I'm like, y'all are out of your fucking mind if you think that Cody's at 21 or 22 years old is going to come knock out Cedric, myself, Kai, Josh, Evan, Rolly. Potential's there down the road, but it ain't happening right now. So I think a lot of that got to Cody's head, though. There was multiple. Akeem was in it too. He just wasn't in the top 5. But I mean, you had a lot of veteran bodybuilders in their late 20s, early 30s. Some of us late 30s, or some of the guys at that time was late 30s. But when Kai Green shows up, I'm sorry, just pack your fucking bags and go home. Unless your name is Phil Heath, just pack your bags and go home. So, I think when Cody went to that show, he was either last or one place before last, 12th. And I don't think he had lost a show in a very, very long time. And I could see the look on his face. And I remember him also telling me that he was done. And I tried to play big brother, and I was like, look, dude, I've known you since you were a kid. Well, since you were 18. I've known you since you were a kid. I was like, just take this one on the chin. I was like, you just got beat by some of the best bodybuilders in the world, and you're 22 years old. Just go home, regroup. Don't throw in the towel. Don't make any crazy, stupid, irrational decisions. And again, I tried to play big brother in the situation, but I mean, did you guys watch the movie The Rock made when he impersonated Mark Terror? Did you watch that?
I really want to.
Chris, you can watch it. I personally, I'm shocked that The Rock let that movie release because it was horribly done.
It's not
horribly
good.
done.
Do you remember the one scene when they asked him like, "What? How do you feel if you lose?" And he's like, "It's like he's done." Huh? I've never lost. I don't know. I can't answer that question. I kind of feel like Cody was at that moment where it was like, he didn't know that defeat was possible. And I kind of feel like Brian didn't realize that second call out was a possibility as well. And I think that stung really bad. And to be fair, when I got second call out at the Olympia, I remember going back into the gym and you know Alex, right? Pomeroy.
Yeah.
And me and Alex trained at the same gym, and Alex comes up, he's like, "Hey dude, congratulations on getting 10th at the Olympia." And I was like, "Congratulations on what? Getting my ass handed to me?" Like in the back, and this is before me and Alex became friends, and he told me like later on, he's like, "Dude, I thought you were the biggest dick in the world." I was like, "No, I just held myself to a higher standard than 10th. I wanted better. I felt like I didn't say I deserved better because I was off. But like I wanted more and I knew I was better than that. So like when someone says congratulations on 10th, I'm like, nowadays when people tell me that, I'm like, yeah, thank you. And in my head, I'm still like, I could have been better. Could have done better than that shit. Like I still don't take it as a compliment, even to this day. Yeah. Because you know what you're capable of. So that was a big hit to my ego, to be fair.
Do you, not to drag this on too long. I think I know your answer. How can I word this? Does any part of you wish you had the ability to keep competing longer than you did?
Yes and no. Yes and no on that. Like I still love bodybuilding. I still train. I went in and trained back today. It was like I don't do as much volume now because I'm 37. I can't handle 50, 60 sets, but like I do what I can do. I still try to train as hard as I can, still do my thing. And I'll always love bodybuilding. I'll still be here. I'll still be doing it. But when it comes to doing it at a professional level and doing it at the elite level, this also does come down to a money thing. I'm just simply not the guy to create like look at Eric Janicki, right? The videos he makes. I watch them because I find them to be entertaining. Can I do those videos? No, that's not my personality. That's not who I am. So for me, I would have been placing higher, but yet making less money in today's time, or at least so I feel, anyways. I don't feel like there's going to be any sponsors there unless you're winning the actual Arnold and the Mr. Olympia. Where's the money for me to do that? And I also feel like I'm the type of guy who has a one-track mind. When I have something set in my mind, that's all I think about. That's all I concentrate on. And I hate to sound, and I'm going to sound like a bitch on this, and that's fine. If anybody wants to hate on me, feel free to do so because I probably deserve it. But I do not feel I could have competed at that level with a full-time job. It's been done, obviously. I think Hottie had a job when he won the Olympia. Ronnie had a job when he won the Olympia. Anybody else had a job when they won the Olympia?
No. As far back as I know.
But like, if I'm going to make it my living, because once you get past like 25 to 30, you start thinking about like the future, retirement, like what you really want in life. It's not just about getting on a stage at that point. So I would have been thinking like, if I can't make a minimum 200,000 a year on this, I need to be putting my time, effort, and value into something else. And I just don't think I would have been good enough with social media in order to make the money I need to make. Sure, I would have won a few shows, but I don't see that as a security. Like to be able to buy a home, maintain a home. Like obviously, I've owned 2 homes. I'm probably going to own a 3rd home, not at the same time. I'm probably going to move next year, and then I've had every vehicle I've bought with cash. I bought a boat offshore with cash. Like that's kind of like that's my ambition in life is like I want to be successful financially. I don't got to be a multimillionaire, but if I want to go out and buy something, I just want to go out and buy something. Mm-hmm. So I feel like as a bodybuilder, I don't think I would have been able to support myself in today's time. I would have had to be doing some. I would have had to have done shady shit, but I wouldn't have done shady shit. Let's say that. Like, trust me, that opportunity was there 10 years ago, and I declined it then too. I don't think I'm quite blessed enough to be an OnlyFans guy. So there's that. And I'm not going to be just jerking it for some weirdo on fucking webcam like some of the other guys do. And frankly, I don't want to be a bouncer at a strip club or, a bar or something like that, because that seems to be a common occupation for bodybuilders. And then coaching, I would have done that. I definitely would have been doing that. I wish I would have been doing that when I was competing, but like while I was competing, you guys know, like PEDs was like, hush, hush, we don't talk about that.
Yep.
So it was like, I didn't want my name. Like, I remember getting, someone showed me this email. It was actually an email from Shelby, not to me or from me, but it was someone else. And I'm like, okay, here's a drug protocol. And it's got his name at the top of it. And that right there was enough for me to say, you know what? I'm not coaching anyone else unless I better trust you with my life, because I don't want any of this leaked. I don't want like JComp 06 associated with 600 milligrams of test, 400 DECA, 6GH. I don't want any of that to ever surface, because this might potentially fuck my chances of becoming Mr. Olympia. So like, that's why I didn't coach as much when I was competing. Now times have changed. So maybe I would have continued doing what I'm doing now. I don't know. I mean, that's always going to be a speculation. But at 37, both shoulders are a little fucked up. And the fact that I probably would, I hate to say this, I have two passions. I'd probably rather be fighting a giant fish is to be fighting giant weights, to be honest. Like,
nothing wrong with that.
I don't think I would be doing it right now. And if I did come back, it would take probably I don't know. Like, Kevin Levrone was the guy who could just transform. I've never made an effort to transform. I lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, but I'm not losing muscle or gaining muscle. I'm simply going from 6% body fat to 12 or 13%, and then back and forth, depending on what my goal is at that moment in my life. But like, I've never actually attempted to get back on cycle and just see how quickly could you blow back up. I've never tried. I've never said, okay, you know what? We're going back to 8 ounces of chicken and 8 ounces of beef and eating a shitload of carbs. Never attempted it since I retired. Like, even in 2018, I did go back to like 275 pounds, but I wasn't all in. Like, not the way that I was the year prior. I had too much mental shit going on at that point.
Speaking of fish, can you swim?
No, still can't swim.
Okay, I'm glad. I feel a little better now, because
oh my God, yeah.
I know how to swim, but I still can't swim because I sink. I've had to be rescued twice.
There's no way.
I had to ask this, because I'm like, man, he's always going out in the boat, because I need to know that there's a life vest on that boat, because I'm not long distance. Do I know how to swim? Yes, I was forced to swim when I was my parents were shark divers, so we were forced to swim. But ever since, and I'm still 238 pounds, but ever since I became less buoyant, I sink right away. So anytime I see or hear anything about you fishing, I immediately wonder, I'm like, does Justin know how to swim? So that I'm glad I feel a little bit better.
Well, I have been around some big guys that can swim. I know several bodybuilders that can swim. One of my good friends, I remember him at 260 pounds. He's like 5'7", 260. This was 15 years ago. We were at the lake. I wasn't really into fishing at that time. I was back in Kentucky, and he was like 250, 260 with abs at 5'7". So that put the muscle mass into perspective there. He just jumps off the pontoon boat and just hops in the lake, and I'm like, huh. Okay, he's like, dude, just throw a vest on and come in. I'm like, fuck no, I'm not doing it. And I never got in that water. I never did get in the water.
So
now I will say this: like, when I'm on my boat, if it's flat seas, I don't wear a vest.
Okay.
But if it picks up past like 2.5 foot waves, I throw that shit on, just because you never know if it says 2.5, you may just be kind of like bumping along, and all of a sudden you get that 5-footer that gets thrown at you, and you just next thing you know, your boat's going airborne, and you know some shit's falling out the back of it. And you got to turn around and get your coolers or something. Like that kind of shit can happen when you're out there. So like I do try to use extra safety measures, and I have rolled a jet ski one time, and I definitely wore my life jacket because I knew that jet ski was a death sentence to me. I didn't even really want to be on the damn thing, to be honest. I kind of got pressured on it. And I roll like jet skis are not like boats. They roll very, very easily.
Yep.
Kind of like on a bike. If you don't put your feet down, it'll drop. When you come to a stop, the only thing is you put your feet in the water, it doesn't stop it from rolling over.
Mm-hmm.
So I rolled the jet ski over, and I saw it come. It was like slow-mo. And I've got my life jacket on, and the first thing I could think of was like, you're dead. You 100%, you are going to die right here today. This is it. So I didn't let go of the handlebars. This was the fucked up part. When I rolled over, the jet ski's on top of me, and the water was crystal clear. And I look over, and I'm like, my head is hitting on the seat because the life jacket's trying to push me up, but I'm fucking underneath of the jet ski. And I was like, right before I went into the water, I took a big deep breath of air, and I'm like, okay, Justin, you better figure this shit out, or you are going to fucking die. So I took this hand and I reached for this handlebar. I grabbed the side of the jet ski and I pulled myself up, and I'm like, holy shit. And I remember somehow like a wave caught me and it threw me under. And again, I'm holding onto the jet ski, plus I have my life jacket on. And I remember seeing water it was clear, but it wasn't like perfectly clear. Not like what you see in videos. It's not like the Bahamas. I wasn't in the Bahamas. And I saw a very large 300 to 400 pound marine animal swim beside of me. And I'm like, I need to get the fuck out of here right now. Like, I don't know if it was a dolphin, a porpoise, or a bull shark, but it was inshore. So if it's inshore, and if it's a shark of that size and that caliber, it's probably a bull. And bull sharks are born pissed off. It's like they were born on trend or something. I don't understand. But like they're fucking aggressive. And again, a porpoise on the other hand, he's just going to probably come up and poke me with his nose or something. Yeah. He's not going to hurt me at all. But like I just see it, and I'm like, I was like I'm blowing bubbles out of my mouth because like I'm freaking the fuck out. So yeah, I did have a moment with the jet ski.
I feel much better because when we were on our honeymoon, we took I forgot what type of boat it was, off the cruise to go to some island. Catamaran. It was a catamaran. And
yeah, one of the that's right. I got a cat boat too.
They had a dock, whatever, anchor offshore.
Yeah.
And my head, and it seemed like a far way offshore. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, everybody's going to be jumping in. I'm like,
where were you at?
This was I think, is it St. Thomas? I think maybe St.
Still
Thomas.
In the Caribbean.
In the Caribbean, yeah.
So there's certain areas out there that where it gets shallow at. So you were probably in a shallow area.
So my first thought was it wasn't shallow. So she jumps in the water, and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I started getting anxiety. I'm like, I'm going to sink here. I'm like, or just start kicking until I can't kick anymore. Jump in, and I'm kicking, and I'm kicking, and I'm kicking. And she's like, right. After a bit, she goes, you could stand up, right? And that was that. But yeah, I've had to be rescued twice in my life. Once at a water park and once in the Caribbean a long time ago. But yeah, like I said, I feel. Chris, can you swim?
So I know how to swim, and I had to practice swimming a lot when I was going to the Marines because my crazy ass was like, I'm going to do recon, which is like all swimming. But treading water is the problem. So that's what took me the longest thing to learn. But I can't do it anymore. I'm just too negative buoyant. So you're making me laugh because when we were in Hawaii, we took this boat out and they said, okay, we're going to pull in this, cove or whatever. We're going to jump off the boat. And I was wearing a life jacket, but it's like a blow up life jacket. And so me and Andrea were like, we're going to jump off the boat in the water. And I was like semi-confident. I jumped in and I took us both like 20 feet down. My life jacket just like imploded. It just gave up. It's like, no, I'm out. And I open my eyes. I see Andrea, and I just throw her back to the top. And I'm like trying as hard as I can to get to the top. And I finally got up. But I was like, all right, that's bad. I just dragged the thing off. Like, give me another one. They're like, how'd you pop that? So
my thing is, so that's the type of life jackets I have. Like when they hit water, they balloon up.
yeah.
And I feel very confident that they'll hold me. However, my rule is like if it's 90% of the people that come on my boat know how to swim, so it wouldn't be a problem. But like my dad doesn't know how to swim, so I always told Dad, I was like, for whatever reason, if we have a malfunction on the boat and we get a leak or a hole or whatever the hell happens, you know what your bilge pumps are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I see that bilge light come on, that's a problem. We're taking water in. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the fenders. You know, when you're going to dock them, the big giant floaties, those will hold up. Like I'm going to go on a limb and say, I bet if you took the ones I use, I think you could take a 120-pound dumbbell and tie it to that fender, and that fender won't sink. Like they're pretty large fenders.
Yeah.
So like my thing is, and they got ropes attached to both ends, and they're not just like they're tied on. They're not going anywhere. So like I always told dads, like if shit happens, we take the flare gun. I take the EPIRB. That way I can, satellite to Coast Guard where we're at. I was like, we're going to take the throw flotation because you have to have it on to be legal. I was like, I grab a fender and you grab a fender and we also grab the spare life jacket and we're going to tie ourselves together. So we're going to stay afloat. We're just going to float around here like this shit. Like that's my oh shit plan.
So I'll tell you guys another embarrassing little situation that I go through. So as a paratrooper, we have to be able to swim in case we land in water, which if we land in water in Alaska, you're done. So like there's no swimming.
Hypothermia.
Yeah, you're just dead. So, but we have to practice. So we do it in the pool indoors, which is kind of nice. But they have the parachute all out in the water. You got to jump in, you swim under the parachute. You like pop up a little air bubble, and then you swim back out the other side. So first of all, you get through that, and I'm like, I just fake it. I just go and touch the parachute and then swim away like as fast as I can before I die and sink to the bottom. And it's a deep pool. It's probably like, I don't know, like 14 feet or something like that. It's a little bit deeper than a normal pool. But then you got to tread water. And it's not like a long time. It's like 3 minutes. You got to tread water. The problem is my ratios aren't normal. So I've got to wear these giant, pants. So the waist is like, 6 inches too big to fit around my legs.
So you come up
wear
naked?
a belt. Yeah, so you can't wear a belt or any stuff. So I'm sitting there trying to tread water, and I'm like, at a certain point, I'm like this much out of the water. I'm trying as hard as I can, and I'm thinking like, oh my god, I wish I didn't work out yesterday. Like my lats, my arms, my chest is dying, and I'm like 30 seconds in, I'm like drowning already. I'm like, all right, I got it. I'm gonna keep going. And then finally, there's like 30 seconds left, and they're all yelling at me. They're like, come on, Masari, you can make it. And I'm like, nope, I'm gonna die. And I go to swim to the edge. I come out, my pants are all the way around my ankles. I'm like drowning. I'm just stressed out. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm done with this shit. I didn't have to be here today.
Some of those drills are pretty intense. Like one of my friends works for Lockheed Martin, and they build the military helicopters in West Palm Beach. And like where he actually rides in the helicopters too. So they have to be trained as well in case that helicopter goes down in the water.
They have a big thing. They flip them underwater and they have to get themselves out. Yeah.
Flip them upside down underwater, like strapped in, and they have to get themselves out. You got like 2 minutes to do it or something.
Yeah. Fuck that.
Yeah. No, I'm just dead. I'm just going to go ahead and suck the water in just to end it quickly. I don't want to panic. I'm just going to keep breathing underwater until the lights go out.
Ain't for me. Not for me. I need that life vest, and I'm going to need it quick. No. So, anyways, I think this is a good point where we could wrap up. I think this was an excellent podcast. We hit a lot of bodybuilding and then fun stuff at the end. Justin, thank you for coming on. We definitely.
Yeah, no worries, man. Yeah, this is like a continuation from like 5 years ago, except this time we have video with it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. We had that podcast 5 years ago. That's right.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do this again because we had a lot more questions for you. But Chris knew we weren't gonna. There's a lot. We knew we weren't gonna get through them all because even when him and I do it, we kind of just start to ramble on like we did here.
Just save them. We can pick up later on it.
Yep.
Absolutely. We will. So thank you for coming on, Chris. You want to close us out?
Yeah, guys. So once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support and the the positive and any negative feedback. So if you guys don't like something, let us know too. Make sure you like and subscribe. And then Justin, where can they find you on social media?
Just Instagram. That's going to be the fastest way to reach me.
What's your Instagram?
Justin R. Compton. No spaces, no capitals.
All right. So there you have it. I'll see you guys later.
Out.